Greetings, it's John G. Sutton here. Tales from the jails. Don't forget to get my book, folks. HMP Manchester Prison Officer. Anyway, enough of that. I want to talk today about overcrowding in prison. And it's in the news about the prison in London, built in 1842, and still serving today as a prison. That's Pentonville. It's been in the news because the overcrowding, it's got something like 1,200 inmates, and it was actually built to house about 820, I think. So it's 60% doubled up. They've got smaller cells there, and the cells are actually built for one man, and they're now housing two, and they've got no room for furniture in there, just the beds, 2 beds. Yeah. I believe they got sanitation, but they're having difficulty with that because obviously if they've got 2 people in a cell built for one, it ain't going to work, is it? But I mean, who is interested? Nobody seems to care. It's been going on since I was there, and that's quite a while ago. I remember Strange Ways in 1979, I think it was, yeah. Absolutely overcrowded. 2,000 inmates in a jail built in the reign of Queen Victoria to house 1,200. And they got 2,000 in there. I mean, in Victorian times, they thought it was reasonable to hold one man in a 12-foot by 8-foot cell. Well, not a problem with that. They didn't have any sanitation. No sanitation. So what do they do in 1979? Not 1868 when it was built. But in 1979, what do? They put 3 men in a cell built for one. That's ridiculous. I'll tell you what they did at Strange Ways as well. They decided that they would knock 3 cells into one, and they turned it into like a dormitory. You know, a bit like military barracks style, where they had 16 inmates, I believe there were, in these 3 cells, you know. They didn't have any sanitation. They're just locked in there. You can imagine that. Yeah? No sanitation, banged up for like 20 hours, 23 hours a day sometimes. I was on duty one night in Strange Ways, and they started kicking off in the dormitory unit. You know, all the cells knocked into one. They're kicking off, you know, banging on the doors and shouting, and I was with this great big officer, about 6'5". Trevor his name was. I won't mention his last name. Anyway, great big fella, and he said to me, just stay there, I'm going to go and sort this out. I said, no, we'll have a word with them, they'll quieten them down, you know. He said, bollocks to quietening them down, I'm going to sort the bastards out. And he drew his truncheon, you know. We're not aware of what a truncheon looks like, of course. I've shown you the truncheon I had before. Well, he drew his truncheon. He went up there, opened the dormitory up, and steamed in. I think he'd been drinking in the club, actually, before he started this, which was probably what fueled his desire to splatter 16 men. He went in there, and he battered the lot of them. There were people with blood running down their faces, busted nose, busted lips. He bashed a lot of them. And then he said, now shut the fuck up. Yeah? It was quiet after that. Nobody complained, by the way. I mean, these days, they'd have the police in there, they'd have big... But I tell you what, after that, they were quiet. Yeah, I get that these days. I mean, I agree it's wrong. I mean, if you were in that dormitory thing and you were quiet and just resting on your bed, and this 6'5" 18-stone maniac burst in, well, wielding a big stick and battering you, you'd think, you know, that's not right, is it? I haven't done anything. We're at the wrong place at the wrong time, yeah? And they were kicking off. I tell you what, they didn't kick off after that. I couldn't personally condone it, but what could you do? You know, report it to the governor. The just going to tell you, just get about your duty, officer. Yeah, this has got nothing to do with you. because Norman, who was the governor at the time, he kind of supported this regime of violence. The problem was, often at lunchtime, you'd see the staff in the club, and it was a massively overcrowded prison. Massively. It got to one point where they ran out of cells. They couldn't double up anymore, couldn't treble them up. They had them sleeping on the floor, on mattresses on the floor, in the gym area of the scrim, you know, where they do all the workouts and all that. Got them all down there, and they put the mattresses on the floor, locked him up, had a member of staff, overseeing this. And they didn't shut the gates. I mean, listen, when the prison's full, it's full. Apparently, Pentonville's getting really bad press about this, but they say they've got a big problem with drugs in there. Well, I've asked people, I mean, there wasn't much of a drug problem when I was at Strangeways. It wasn't so much. They used to smuggle tobacco in. That was the currency at the time. But now they don't have tobacco, do they? They have vapes. I don't know if the vapes are free. I don't know, you see. I mean, I don't work there. But, I mean, if people are getting spice and cocaine and whatever else they're getting in, and it's trissing about the man who's bringing this in. I mean, got to be the jailers, hasn't it? But the problem you've got, if you've got 18-year-old kids walking around with a big hat and a set of keys, they're quickly going to get snatched by the villains like Paul Sykes and the rest of them. They ain't going to think twice about sticking them up against the wall and saying, right, tomorrow you'll bring me in a package. You collect it outside Woolworths. You know, there'll be a lady there wearing a yellow jacket. She'll give you the package. You bring it in to me, or I'm going to give you a good spanking, you know. That's the kind of treatment that some prisoners would try on. So at that stage, you've got to be able, as a prison officer, to say, I tell you what I'll do, have some of this. Boof. Yeah, straight in the snot box. Get them down the block, rip the kit off, shreddies the lot, off they come. See how you like that. You were saying what you were going to do to me, you know. Didn't quite catch that last bit. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Right. Now, it's you lot have been enjoying too much poetry. And don't forget, on the 7th of November, the big interview with myself and Sean Atwood on the True Crime channel. It starts at 6 p.m. on the 7th, and I'll put a link to the trailer down below so you can see the trailer for the promoting the interview. I do hope that you'll watch that. And the following night at 8 p.m, Sean Atwood and myself will be hosting a question and answer session. So if you watch the video and you've got any questions, then you can definitely ask me then, and I will do my very best, sincerely, honestly and truthfully, to tell you what the answer is as best I can. Because I'm not making this up, this is the bloody truth. Anyway, have a look at my book on Amazon. I'll put a link to that as well. So here we go. You've been lucky. You've been getting away with poetry for too long now. So I'm going to sing you a song. Well, let's face it. It doesn't really amount to singing, but you deserve it. You've asked for it. Oh, by the way, has anybody seen Larry lately? SARS Laz, whatever his name is. Not heard from Larry for a bit. Gone quiet on me. Larry doesn't love me anymore. Anyway, here we go. This is me doing an impersonation of Johnny Cash's granddad, Folsom Prison Blues. I hear the train a-comin', it's rolling round the bend, and I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, time keeps dragging on, but that train keeps a-rolling on down to San Antone. When I was just a baby, my mama told me, son, always be a good boy, don't ever play with guns. But I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. When I hear that whistle blowing, I hang my head and cry. I'll bet there's rich folks eating in a fancy dining car. They're probably drinking coffee and smoking big cigars. Well, I know I had it coming. I know I can't be free. But those people keep a-moving, and that's what tortures me. Well, if they freed me from this prison, if that railroad train was mine, I'd bet I'd move it on a little further down the line, far from Folsom Prison. That's where I want to stay, and I'll let that lonesome whistle blow my blues away. There you go. That was Folsom Prison Blues by John G. Sutton singing it, and Johnny Cash, who originally recorded it. Hope you enjoyed that. Tales from the Jails, John G. Sutton. I'll see you all soon.